Hi, it's Jen and Tammy back with a woolly mug rug for December, and this is just so precious. It's vintage. Hopefully you can see that real well with the overhead camera. I'm going to show the front camera too. This candy cane, which is so classic. I love the stitching you did with
it's
the
beautiful.
holly and
it
the
came
berries.
out so nice.
Look at this variegated thread.
It's fun. I love variegated
thread. This just stole my heart. I love Christmas anyway. I can't get enough of Christmas. So now behind us is the table glitz series that we did for December.
Yeah.
And we have kits available. Of course, we're going to be having a new table glitz series starting for 2019.
Yes.
So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel because we have so many ideas we can't wait to share with you.
Absolutely.
And of course, when you subscribe, you'll be the first one to know when new videos are available for you and you can jump right into the fun. We have kits available, or if you want to be using your own fabric, that's an option too. Absolutely. So in the, you'll be wanting to download the woolly mug rug for December with the candy cane. You can either do that on the homepage of the Shabby Fabrics website. Click on homepage. Look for the woolly mug rug for December. You're going to see all the other ones too.
Yep, the download link's at the very bottom of the page.
Yep.
Yep.
And you'll be able to download the table glitz, and all the other projects we've done.
All kinds of stuff. Yep.
If you're watching on YouTube, there is a description box below the video. You'll be able to click there and get your download. Once you get those two printed out, just like we've done before, we have this side is reversed for fusible applique, which is great. We like doing the fusible applique because this thing is down. When you start stitching this is not going anywhere, and I like that. I'm not pinning it, getting myself poked. So we really like to use the fusible, and I certainly love to use the wafer light box for this because I can see my diagram so easily. This is our layout diagram. I'll put that aside for now. By the way, if you're not planning to use fusible applique, you like to pin your wool down, you'll just be using this for your shapes because you don't want to use the ones for reverse for fusible, otherwise your candy cane shapes will be reflected the opposite direction.
Right.
So if you're going to be doing the fusible like Tammy and I, grab your light box, your diagram, and I've got Heat and Bond Light. I have a micron pen. Don't use that friction pen. I have done that. True confession. I bet you've done this too, where I'm like, I just love that friction pen, and I go trace it out, and then I think I'm so clever, and I cut around my shape, and I iron it down, and it's gone.
It's gone.
Because the heat makes it disappear. Use the mic. Don't do the blonde thing. Use the micron pen. And I just love that the light box makes it so easy for me to see. Trace around, roughly cut around those shapes, and of course you'll be ironing that to whatever you feel is the wrong side, the back side of the wool. And like we discussed in the previous video, for most of the time I'm working with wool, it's the same.
There is no wrong side.
There really is a right or wrong side.
Agree.
Some manufacturers you can definitely tell. It's a different, more of a commercially dyed.
More of a texture on the back.
But trace all your shapes out, and this is where you might want to use an applique pressing sheet to assist you. I think it's pretty straightforward. You get your candy cane, put your stripes down, of course your holly and your berries, and then you're on your way. And this thread set, I mean this whole little glitz, I love this, Tammy. So I know that these are kind of our two specialty. No, actually, these three are the
specialty threads
in this thread set.
Yes,
and
exactly.
One thing that we are doing is this is a separate item.
It is.
And that's for stitching around the edge of this. You can't really see it because she's done it so beautifully and it blends so perfectly. You can't see it, but that's a blanket stitch. And we're having this separate because you don't need to buy this month over month. Right. One ball will probably do the whole series. It's going to last
for a lot. Yeah, you might need two for the whole series, depending on how many you're making every month.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I didn't want to include this in the kit, and then you're going to have 12 balls of pearl cotton.
Right.
That's just not necessary.
Now, before I got all excited about the thread, I kind of jumped ahead just a little bit.
That's okay.
I talked about tracing the applique shapes. For the circle itself, you're going to be doing two. One is going to be on the fusible webbing, the Heat and Bond Light, or whatever your favorite fusible webbing product is, and the other will be on the freezer paper. We love our heavy-duty freezer paper from Cut-Right.
Yeah.
This is the best freezer paper I've ever used. It's fantastic for applique if you like to do the spray starch. turning over paper templates. I use this freezer paper for that. I just love it because it's so thick and it's so durable that it doesn't twist and kind of warp like lighter weight freezer paper does.
Like you get from the grocery store.
Yeah, as you heat it up, it kind of tends to twist and warp.
Yep.
I mean, this is down.
It is.
Think about. I mean, I am working to release this.
Yep.
But I can put this on and use it again and again and again and again. It's incredible. This is how thick this is. Super thick. I can't recommend it enough. This is the one you'll be appliquing everything on top of.
Correct.
The one with the fusible webbing, put it aside, get it out of the way. We don't need to be stitching through a bunch of fusible webbing too.
That's right.
That's the back of our mug rug once we have everything stitched down, and it's covering all of the stitching that's back here. So put that aside so you don't inadvertently do the wrong one.
Exactly.
Okay, so now it's over. I got all excited. Now we've ironed everything down.
Yep.
And
I've whip stitched it.
Okay.
We did the whip stitch with all of the Alana wool threads. So we just used the green, the red, and the white. Did a little whip stitch. If you need to know how to do that, it is in this creative stitching book on page 15. Sue Spargo does a beautiful job of all of her stitches are clearly outlined on how to do them. We are using this as our stitching Bible right here. We are using this exclusively for our stitches. So you'll want to pick a book up if you don't have one already. It's a great addition to any embroidery library. It's a beautiful book. So, okay, so I'm going to do a stem stitch. And so when I went to draw this little fluffy thing here, I did not have anything that would show up on black. It's very difficult to find something. I was using chalk or a Soline pencil, and it would rub off. Before I even had my things stitched, it would rub off. Guess what I found?
She's always
I'm just gonna say, marker.
She's always on the hunt for new notions.
I'm always looking. So I'm going to draw on this, and you're going to have to wait a second because it doesn't look like it's really doing anything. Do you see anything yet?
No.
Okay, let it
Oh
dry.
my gosh.
And there it is.
I hope the camera, overhead
Can you
camera,
see
can
that?
pick that up.
Yes?
That's incredible.
Wonderful. Okay, so when you first draw on the black, you do not see it.
So you just gotta wait a little bit.
And you wait just a minute, and it's like the ink
just a
dries,
couple seconds.
It dries, and it gets on there. Now let's say I didn't want that on there. I marked that. I wish I wouldn't have. I'm gonna use a little spit. There's always DNA in all my projects. All my projects have
more
DNA
than you
in
thought,
there.
more than you
All
want to know,
of
right,
it.
people?
All of it. You know, everybody out there
damn
knows what I'm talking about because they do the same thing. They do not get up and go to the sink and get some water. Okay? There it is right there. You
That's
see
amazing.
how it disappeared with water.
Wonderful.
This comes right off with water. It'll also come off with steam. If you are steaming your project like I do on my pressing mat, on my wool mat, I turn it upside down and I press it when I put my stuff on. The steam will take care of the white marks.
I wonder if that's just because of the moisture.
I think so.
So it's not necessarily heat, it needs to be steam.
It needs to be
steam. It's
steam.
got to be the moisture in that.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Cool.
Okay, so I am just going to draw my basic lines.
What is the name of this pen
This pen, it's an erasable fabric marker.
Wow. Okay, cool.
It is amazing.
I love it.
I love this thing.
So would you mark the holly or would you go back with a friction pen on that
You can
one?
go back with a friction
Either
pen
one,
on the
I
holly,
suppose.
right? Or just wing it. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So the only lines I drew when I did these stitches were these lines right here. I did not draw each and every little frond on my little evergreen. Is that like an evergreen branch? I think it's like an evergreen branch,
we have them on there, so if you're more comfortable drawing them on,
you could draw them. You can.
Or you can just go.
You can just wing it. So I'm going to do a stem stitch, and I just want to outline my stem and just give it that really nice outline. So to do a stem stitch, we're going to use this variegated thread, and I'm going to start right next to my berry.
And I know that one's on page 82, right?
Yes, correct.
Of the book.
Thank you, Miss Jen.
And that way, it's, you know, if you want to get that more granular look at a project, step by step, it's in the book.
It is there.
Step by step in full color.
That's right.
The whole book is full color.
It's beautiful. Okay, so we're going to leave our thread to the bottom, and I'm going to come a 1/4 inch over, I'm going to put my needle in, and then I'm going to come back about halfway. All right, so I'm leaving a loop at the bottom. I'm going to leave that loop at the bottom always. I'm going to loop it at the bottom again. I'm going to come over 1/4 inch, and this time when I come back, I'm going to come back right where I went down.
Oh, right,
before,
right. Okay.
Right? And again, my loop is at the bottom. So you're always coming back over your loop.
Gotcha.
And that's what gives this stitch I love this stitch. Whoop.
That's where I know
That
using things
thread
like the
is
thread
not
magic.
gonna love me, yeah.
I know
think
this
we
is a
probably better do that.
Yeah, you know, I wasn't introduced to thread magic, and you know, kind of thread heaven was before that. Really until Tammy came aboard, and I just figured that's just part of hand stitching, is you're going to get the knots and the fraying, and this just
stuff's
seems to like
amazing.
tame that.
It does tame it right down. It coats your thread, and it just glides through your wool. And you see how it doesn't even want to knot now.
Right. It
Won't
just
even think about
glides through
knotting.
it.
So I'm just following my line as I'm doing this stem stitch. And I'm just going to run right along.
Beautiful.
Isn't that cool?
It's so pretty.
I love
it's
it.
more interesting than a back stitch because it has a texture.
It is. Yep, it's got some dimension to it. Okay, so you do your stem stitch. To end your stitch, you're just going to take it down. Take your needle to the back of your work. Done.
Wow.
Okay, now to do these little fun fronds, I simply came back and I started at the top. Now that seems kind of odd, but I did. I started at the top, and I'm just going to come up next to my stem, and I'm just going to jump up and take one big stitch.
Yep.
Just like that.
Wow.
And
And
I'm
the
gonna do it
variegated thread,
again.
look at this variegation.
Isn't that fun?
And well, it just makes it look like it is.
It looks real.
Exactly.
It looks real. I
Because
love
if that was just one straight green, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting. It's the
not at all.
variegation
I agree.
that is so amazing.
So I'm just taking stitches. I'm coming right next to my stem, and then I'm just jumping up, and you can go as long or as short as you want to go.
Sure.
All the way down.
Yeah, and so I think using this as
Isn't
a
that fun?
reference.
Yeah,
You know, we know
absolutely.
that as it gets towards the tips,
They're a
they're a
little
little bit
smaller.
shorter.
Yeah.
So this might be a good reference. But don't be afraid to
Absolutely.
just kind of
Just
add
do
more
it.
or do less or do
Yep.
what you want.
Just do it. Absolutely. So then again, I drew my line on my leaf, and I did a stem stitch down on my holly leaves.
okay.
Okay,
Just
so
the
it's
same.
the same
Yep.
stitch. All right. Now let's use some Dazzle. I love this thread.
Oh.
It's amazing, but I am going to put some thread magic on this because Dazzle tends to be a little squirrely, and I want to kind of be the boss of my thread. So I'm going to tame it down a little with that.
And I'd love for you to show them this threader because I know when
that's true.
we start working with this thread, it's got a
It
metallic
does.
component.
Yep, and
There's
it does
more
start
going on.
to fray out.
Yeah.
That's true. So this is the Embroidery Needle Threader by Clover, and it has a large wire. What would you call this part? The threader part, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And
so
it's meant for these kind of beefier
it is.
needles.
It goes right in, and look how easy it is now to thread my thread right through here. It's much easier to thread this than it is the eye of that needle and pull it right through.
Boom.
It's just
It's
super
just
easy.
invaluable.
Super easy.
I just have always found that threads that have metallic components, there's a lot that kind of comes together at the end
There
of
is.
that.
There
and I
is.
struggle getting the needle threaded.
Threaded.
And if
exactly.
the needle, this just makes it a no-brainer.
It does.
Piece of cake.
Okay, so this is a scroll stitch.
Okay.
Okay, and the page, this is page 133. So a scroll stitch, I'm going to I brought my thread to the front, so I did a knot. I'm going to bring it to the front, hold it like this, and I'm going to go ahead 1/4 inch. I'm going to take my needle down into my wool and my applique at the same time.
Oh.
Now you see how I've left my thread underneath my needle. There's a reason for that because now I'm going to go around my needle this way and pull that through. So I'm like making a little loop right there, and that's the scroll. So again, your thread goes up, go up 1/4 inch. I'm into the wool background, and a little bit on the applique, and then your thread comes around. But your thread has to be behind your needle to start this stitch, to do this. So I find it easier if I just lay my thread here and hold it with my finger.
Yeah.
When I automatically come up here and grab this, look at that. My thread is already underneath my needle. It's where it's supposed to be. And I don't have to try and fight with all of this thread to get that thread under there. Because then you just get a knot.
Your finger and your forefinger.
Yeah, I'm hanging on to
your index, right? Index?
Yes, my index finger. Yes.
Let's do it one more time. I want to see that.
So I'm hanging on to that right here like this with these fingers. I'm holding
You're kind of
that
anchoring
thread.
that.
I am. I'm hanging on to it. I don't want that thread to go away.
And I'll move my head out of the way
like
so they can see that.
That thread, that dazzled thread does get squirrely. And so you want to really hang on to it. You want to be the boss of your thread. Okay. Right through. And I'm going to pull it again.
Wow.
You see how that stitch, and it just kind of curls right around the candy cane. I love that stitch.
That is really sweet.
Isn't that fun?
Yes.
Nice. And then we use the razzle thread just to do a quick chain stitch around the berries, which of course you guys already know if you've watched these videos. This is Tammy's favorite stitch. It's the chain stitch. It just makes such a fun, what am I doing here? I think my tail is a little too short. There we go. Okay. So it just makes such a nice outline stitch, and I wanted to just accentuate the berries but not really put anything on them. And so I just put a quick chain stitch around this corner just like this.
It's amazing how just that outline outlines them.
It outlines it. It's really nice, isn't it?
It's really pretty.
I love that stitch. And that razzle thread is so shiny and beautiful.
Well, if there was ever a thread set to get, this is the one.
Yeah.
It really is. The sparkle, the
isn't it?
variegated thread, and it's just spectacular.
We've got it all.
Well, I know we have
go.
one more in our
We
Woolly
do
Mug
one more
Rug
in our
series for
series.
January.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
really hope you're enjoying the
Have
series and
something
what you're
special.
learning from Tammy. We'd love to get your feedback. And we just love bringing these projects to you. So we will see you for the Woolly Mug Rug, the final Woolly Mug Rug in our series for January. We'll see you then.